Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Manchester United get their man. Dan Ashworth will be Manchester United's next director of football. This is being reported, confirmed, hinted by all the big credible outlets now. And look, it's big news. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about what it means for Erik ten Hag. We're going to talk about what it means for Manchester United. We're going to dissect Dan Ashworth's top 10 signings in his time at Brighton and Newcastle, because there are a few myths around that. There's people that think he bought players that he didn't buy. We'll talk about the pros of bringing somebody in like this. And I think the big headline is that when you go and take Omar Barada from Manchester City and you go and take Dan Ashworth from Newcastle, not only are you competing with your rivals, you're weakening your rivals. You are going for best in class. And that's exactly what Ineos are looking to do here. So it's big, big news. We spoke about this last Thursday. Funnily enough, we spoke about it last night. If you watched the 7 o'clock show last night, after we spoke about Neto and Elise, I said the director of football will follow very, very quickly. And what I was told last Thursday is at any moment, we'll just get a David Ornstein type drop that we've got our director of football. What happens is within 4 hours of that show, we get a David Ornstein drop that it's going to be basically going to be Dan Ashworth. So not really surprised by the breaking news last night, but got to say very impressed by it, because to go and get somebody like this is huge for Manchester United. I would put a kicker here and say that, look, there are going to be things that we don't like at some point. At the moment, we're riding this predictable and nice wave of positivity. But I saw something, I think Matt said it on one of our admins, he's absolutely spot on. What's happening is what should have been happening for the last 15 years. The last 20 years, we should have been looking at the stadium. We should have had a competent CEO and we should have had a director of football who knows what they're doing. Ineos are not reinventing the wheel. They're doing what any decent owner would do, which we haven't done for 20 years. And they're getting it done quickly because we've basically been losing ground not doing it. So let's hit the news on this, because there's a few little bits to bring you with regards to what has been said. But let's just go straight away with a nice picture, because this is the big one that's coming out. This is coming in from Fabrizio Romano, who says that Manchester United have been working on the appointment of Dan Ashworth for weeks now. He's always been Ineos's top target. Initial and positive talks took place and United are set to make a formal approach. It will depend on Newcastle's decision, of course. And in fairness, I also just need to go through some of the things that came out from David Ornstein last night, because this was sort of breaking last night as well. Dan Ashworth is said to be open to a move to Manchester United. And as we talk about gardening leave and we talk about the ramifications of how this will hit Manchester United, what this means for Newcastle, I think that the first thing you've got to acknowledge here is that it was very, very obvious, and again, we mentioned this on last night's show before this broke, it was very, very obvious that Manchester United wanted to bring in a CEO that was Dan Ashworth. And I think I put this out on Twitter last night, if we can get it up on the screen. Ineos are clearly operating a best-in-class policy. Everyone knows they want Ashworth, just cannot see them not getting their number one target when the whole world knows we want him. Now, I put that out last night at 10 o'clock, which I think was before the David Ornstein stuff hit. It's almost like we get good info, isn't it? But that's not the point. That's the point. I think that I was absolutely convinced, and I said it on the show last night, that we were going to get Dan Ashworth. Now, you can be never sure till it happens, and it's not actually official yet. But the way Ineos have only been in the club for 2 months, not even 2 months yet, and you brought in a CEO that Man City didn't want to lose, who was their COO, and you're now going for a director of football that Newcastle don't want to lose. I mean, Newcastle are the big project, is what I'm trying to say. Newcastle are the richest club in the world. Their intent is to be the next Man City. They're definitely not going to go anywhere. They went and got the probably one of the better director of footballs in the Premier League from Brighton to come to Newcastle to build that project with them. And now they're going to lose that guy to Manchester United. This is a massive... I mean, Newcastle may as well stand there in a star shape and take repeated kicks to the groin. It's a huge kick in the balls. No, I'm not going to not say that. I'm sorry. Newcastle fans can pretend all they like. It's incredible. And for a football club like United that's been run so badly for so long, the same thing happened to Man City. They didn't want to lose Berrada. They were gutted by it. And Newcastle do not want to or expect to lose Dan Ashworth. They have more money than us. They have bigger ideas than us. They want to build the biggest team in the world. They don't want to lose the guy they took from Brighton to build that with them to Manchester United, who are a rival. They don't want that. It's an extraordinary coup again. And that's what United have gone and done here by doing this. But I was absolutely convinced they were going to get it done because we knew Dan Ashworth was their guy. As Fabrizio said, they've been looking at him for weeks. We've had Fabrizio on the show for weeks. We've known ourselves that Dan Ashworth is the number one target. And as soon as that happened, I was like, well, Ineos haven't even been here 2 months, and we all know who their director of football number one target is. If they don't get him, it's a public loss. So my understanding, and I'm sure your understanding was, we will get Dan Ashworth because we know they want Dan Ashworth. And if they don't get him, it's an early loss in a time where they need new manager bounce, don't they? They need what Ollie did for 3 months. They need to win to get, people singing Ineos at the wheel. And that they can't afford to not get Dan Ashworth, which is why I was convinced they would. And this is exactly what they've done there. We are playing catch up. We're still a long way from being a well-run club, says John. Hopefully they can catch up fast so we can compete again, says Ashley. Says John. Well, look, we can discuss that in a moment. I don't think the appointment of a director of football and a CEO makes Manchester United win league titles again. I think you're ridiculously naive if you think that. But I do think it gives us a really, a better structure and a better platform, which is what we obviously need. It's my dad Sean's 55th birthday. Can you wish him happy birthday, please, Mark? He watches every day, says Ashley. Big happy birthday to Sean. Commiserations that you've got to share it on Valentine's Day. Does that mean if you're in a relationship, they get a bit of glory? I'd say you're not having anything. You're not having any chocolates. You're not having any flowers. It's my day. But there you go. The Hughes lad says, "Do we have a here we go?" Says Hughes lad. Well, we're not at the official point yet. This is what David Ornstein said last night. Manchester United have made Dan Ashworth their top sporting director target. Nothing has been agreed, nor has there been an official approach. But that situation is expected to develop very quickly. That was last night. The morning story is a little bit different, which we'll give you in a moment. But I think that I would say at this point, you'd be stunned if you didn't get him. It would be a huge L for Manchester United not to get Dan Ashworth, and I don't think that's the way that we're operating at the moment. Now, we're going to delve into what this means for Ten Hag's future, and we're going to look at Ten Hag's Dan Ashworth's top 10 transfers, so you can get an idea of what he does and the sort of players he looks at in a moment. Would Ashworth be enough, or is Mitchell needed too, says Suddy? Well, look, there's a lot of information coming out, and I'm not going to claim exclusive information. I think that's silly, it's childish, and it's disrespectful to those journalists like David Ornstein, who obviously dropped that last night. But what I would say is that I said on Thursday that this was going to drop out of the blue, and it would probably drop from David Ornstein, and it did. I said last night, again, the director of football will drop out of the blue at an unknown time from somebody like David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano, and it did. And I said last night, I'm convinced it will be Dan Ashworth because that's their number one target. United aren't keeping a tight lip on everything. They're moving quickly on things, and they're not telling the people when it's going to happen. That's the difference from the Glazer movement. So the second part to that is it's well known that Dan Ashworth will set up the recruitment team. And what that recruitment team may well mean is somebody like a Dougie Friedman comes in and works underneath him as part of the recruitment team, because Man United need a director of football, but Dan Ashworth can't be in Brazil, he can't be in Mexico, he can't be in the USA, he can't be in Japan, he can't be everywhere. He's the head of that recruitment team, and he needs to build a team. So I would imagine he'll bring in I think that there was talk of Paul Mitchell doing it. I don't think Paul Mitchell will do it, to be honest. I think he wanted the main job, but I'm pretty sure we'll bring somebody else in as well. Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video, because we all know only legends like videos, and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video, and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, as always.